Here's how I would have changed it. I would have swapped Ben Affleck with Christopher Walken.
Dude, the cameos in this movie too.
Yeah.
I was like, is that Al Pacino?
Al Pacino?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, for sure.
So for you obviously don't know, but Martin Brest was the writer and director of this movie. And he is the Oscar-nominated writer and director of Scent of a Woman, which is where Al Pacino won an Oscar.
Became Al Pacino.
Yeah. But like Martin Brest, like he was a very famous director. He had done Beverly Hills Cop, Midnight Run, Scent of a Woman, Meet Joe Black. So like he had like this big pedigree of like movies that were award winners and box office hits and had done really well. And he wrote and directed this movie, and this is the last movie he ever made. This movie ruined his career.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. But it's actually kind of interesting because the way that this movie panned out, the Brest's original version of it was actually much more of a mafia-focused kind of story.
Yeah, this movie doesn't know what it is. It's not a mafia movie. It's not a romantic comedy.
The reason is because it got reshot by the studio. And so this is what happened. So basically, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck met on the set of this movie. Originally, Halle Berry was supposed to play the Ricky role, but she dropped out because apparently the script was bad. but they cast Jennifer Lopez.
And then she went into Catwoman.
And Jennifer Lopez had just gotten married like a couple months before the start of this movie.
Yeah, this was when she was married to her backup dancer, right?
Yes, Chris Judd. And so basically, she was married at the time. She met Ben Affleck on this set. They started a fling together. And then she divorced Chris Judd after 9 months of marriage in order to be with Affleck. And so the romance between J-Lo and Affleck kind of got a lot of publicity for this movie. And in fact, like right after this, she did the music video for Jenny on the Block and had Affleck in it as like, her like boy toy. And so like at this time, the media kind of just pounced on this relationship. They called them Benifer. It was the first time that they'd actually like jammed up like a celebrity couple's name.
I was under the impression that they were already a couple, and then this movie kind of happened.
No, that was Jersey Girl. So basically, she divorces her husband to be with Ben Affleck, and then they get like engaged like
immediately,
almost immediately, like in November of 2002.
It was a giant pink ring. I remember it.
Yeah, and so so Lopez and Affleck begin filming Jersey Girl together, and so Gigli is kind of set to come out kind of at the height of the frenzy surrounding their relationship. And they do like these test screenings where the movie is completely different from the movie we got. And it does not go well. Basically, there's a whole different ending where it's revealed that Jennifer Lopez's character, Ricky, aka Rochelle, like she was actually not a real contractor. It was her girlfriend, the one who shows up and slits her wrist, who was the
that came out of nowhere.
The mafia lady. Well, apparently it was set up better in the first incarnation of this movie, but their relationship was on the rocks, and so Rochelle wanted to know more about what her girlfriend Robin's life was like. So she intercepted this job from Lewis. Larry?
Oh,
no, the mob boss's guy.
Okay, Lewis. Yeah.
She intercepted this job from Lewis, and so she goes to Gigli's apartment to pretend to be her girlfriend, and basically that's why she always kind of gets out of situations by talking her way out of them in the movie. Like she never actually like beats anyone up because she's not actually trained to like do any of that stuff. And after Lewis gets killed by Al Pacino's character, Strickman, I think that's his name, she realizes that it's like too real. And so she confesses to Gigli that, she's not who she says she was and stuff like that. And so she leaves, like she like basically gets out of town. And Gigli decides that, he wants to kind of turn Strickman in for killing Lewis. So he goes to Christopher Walken's character to hand over Brian. And Christopher Walken turns out to be a dirty cop who's working for Al Pacino's character. and he tries to kill both Brian and Gigli, and Gigli ends up killing Christopher Walken's character, but he takes a bullet to the gut in the process. And so he drives, like he's driving away with Brian to try to get him to safety. And as they're driving, they come across the Baywatch shoot on the beach. And so Brian starts freaking out, saying, Baywatch, Baywatch. So Gigli pulls over, and he sends Brian into the Baywatch shoot. And he sits on the beach, and he basically just dies while he's looking at the waves of the beach as Brian kind of gets his happy place.
That's a dark movie.
Yeah, it was a very different, like a lot more serious,
That's
a lot more of a mob
movie.
And the studio was looking at the test screening results, and they were seeing that they weren't good. And so they were like, you know what? We need to cash in on the Ben Affleck, Jennifer Aniston craze.
Lopez.
We're going to turn this into a romantic comedy. And Martin Brest was like, no, absolutely not. So he fought with the studio on this. And the studio basically went in and re-edited the movie and made it into a rom-com.
Yeah. Is that when they incorporated a romance between these two characters?
I think that romance was always kind of there.
Okay.
Just wasn't so...
But like the happy ending of her coming back and picking it up and them driving away, like that was not originally in the script.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because in addition to holding the record for sweeping the Golden Raspberry Awards, this movie also holds the record for the largest drop-off in ticket sales after the opening weekend.
Ooh.
After opening weekend.
I was going to say, that was last Jedi.
After opening weekend, it fell 82%. And what happened was, because of all the bad word of mouth and stuff like that, Columbia Pictures actually pulled all the advertising for the film because of the terrible reviews. So basically it was a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing where they didn't want to keep throwing good money after bad. So basically they stopped advertising it. I think it came out in over 2,000 screens, something like that. So it was just everything was working against this film.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's kind of funny because Matt Damon has been quoted as saying that every time you mention Gigli, Ben Affleck has a visible twitch that he almost what do you call it? Flinches whenever you say the name Gigli. And Kevin Smith has said that whenever him and Ben Affleck are playfully ribbing one another, Smith only has to say Gigli at the end of the conversation. So it's kind of like Fader's boobs, where they're talking. It's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, Gigli.